My name is Evelyn Hart. I'm 75 years old, and I've spent my entire life believing I never had a child. Or at least, that's what I thought until 2 months ago. Then came the letter, handwritten in shaky but elegant script. Dear Mother, I need to see you before it's too late. Signed, Claire. Mother? Claire? I was raised in an orphanage in Boston after being left at the altar of a small Catholic church. I never knew who my parents were. Until now, I thought I'd never find out. But this envelope brought something worse than questions. Hope. I considered ignoring it. I ignored it for 3 days. On the 4th, I bought a train ticket to Providence. I don't know why. Maybe because after all these years, someone finally called me Mother. When I arrived, she opened the door with a smile. And there, on her porch, my heart stopped. Claire's house smelled like lavender and old books. She led me to the living room, where a faded photo album waited on the coffee table. Her hands trembled as she opened it. This is you, she said, pointing at a young woman in a black and white picture. I recognized myself instantly, 17, pale, and pregnant. Next to me stood a man in a priest's collar, Father James. My breath caught. It had been decades since I'd thought of him. We'd gone on a pilgrimage together, a spiritual trip organized by our parish. I remembered the crowded bus, the long nights of whispered conversations, the way he looked at me like I was more than just a widow praying for peace. But what I didn't remember was giving birth. Claire stared at me, eyes searching. You don't remember, do you? I shook my head. I thought I lost the baby. She swallowed hard. No, you left me. The words hit like thunder. My chest tightened. If what she was saying was true, then I hadn't miscarried. I had a daughter, and I had no memory of giving her away. I sat there, staring at the photo like it might blink and tell me the truth. Claire poured 2 cups of tea. Her hands were steady now. Mine weren't. I was raised in a convent, she said softly. The nuns told me my mother died during childbirth. I believed them. Until I found this. She handed me a yellowed document, a birth certificate. Mother Evelyn Hart, Father James Carter, Father James, the man I had loved. The man I thought had left me for God. Claire continued, voice trembling. One of the sisters got sick before she died. She confessed everything. You didn't lose me. You were told you did. My stomach twisted. They lied to me. All these years. I believed I had miscarried on that pilgrimage. That grief became my cross to bear. But now I realized I had been robbed of something far greater. A life. A daughter. I looked at Claire, tears slipping down my cheeks. Why now? She met my eyes. Because I'm dying, and I wanted to know my mother, before I ran out of time. The days that followed were a blur of memories, questions, and silence. Claire's illness was aggressive, terminal, the doctors said. She had months, maybe less. And yet, we spent hours talking like we had all the time in the world. I told her about Father James, about our secret conversations on the bus, the way he held my hand during confession, how he made me feel seen when I thought I'd been forgotten by everyone, even God. She listened, eyes wide, absorbing every word like it was gold. But not everyone was ready to hear the truth. Last week, Claire's husband, Daniel, found one of the old letters I'd kept from the pilgrimage. He didn't know what to make of it at first, but when he read the words, "My love for you grows stronger each day, even though I know it must remain hidden." His face changed. He confronted us both. "You're saying my wife is the child of a priest?" His voice cracked. "And you loved him?" I didn't answer right away. What could I say? That love doesn't ask permission? That guilt has a weight I've carried for decades? Daniel left the room without another word. Later, I heard Claire crying behind closed doors. The secret I kept for so long was finally out, and now it was breaking more than just my heart. I couldn't sleep. Claire's words, Daniel's anger, the birth certificate in my hands, all of it kept me awake. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment from that pilgrimage like a broken film reel. Who decided I would never know about Claire? Who told me I'd lost her? And why did I believe it so easily? The more I thought, the more memories surfaced. Strange gaps filled with foggy recollections. A hospital room, the sound of a baby crying, and then silence. I asked Claire if she had any idea who might have hidden the truth. She hesitated before answering. Sister Margaret. The name sent a chill through me. Sister Margaret was the one who visited me after I returned from Washington, D.C. She brought me tea, prayed with me, and told me I was spared the burden of motherhood. Spared? I wasn't spared. I was stolen. From. I needed answers. So today, I went to the convent. It hasn't changed. Still cold stone walls, echoing footsteps, and the scent of incense clinging to the air. But Sister Margaret is gone. She passed away 10 years ago. All I found was a single line in her journal. Forgive me, Evelyn. I only did what he asked. I read the line again and again. Forgive me, Evelyn. I only did what he asked. What did that mean? Who told her to erase my daughter from my life? I took the journal home with me, desperate for more clues. But there was nothing else. Just prayers, confessions, and silence. Claire was sleeping when I got back. Her breathing was shallow, her face pale. I sat beside her, holding her hand like a mother should, and then I made a decision. I needed to find Father James. I didn't know if he was still alive. But if he was, I had to hear it from him. The whole truth. The next morning, I called the diocese. After some digging, they gave me a name, Father James Carter, retired, currently residing at St. Augustine's Home for Priests in New York. That same afternoon, I booked a train ticket. Daniel wasn't happy. You're chasing ghosts, he said. Maybe I am. But some ghosts deserve to be found. I left Claire with a kiss on the forehead. She smiled faintly. Go, she whispered. Find peace for both of us. I stepped onto the platform, heart pounding. This journey began with a lie. Now I was going to find the man who might have lived it with me. Father James looked smaller than I remembered. The man who once stood tall in his cassock now sat hunched in a wooden chair, sunlight filtering through the stained glass window behind him. His eyes, though clouded with age, widened when he saw me. Evelyn. I didn't hug him. I didn't cry. I just sat down and placed Sister Margaret's journal on the table between us. He stared at it for a long time before speaking. I prayed. Every day that you'd never have to remember, he whispered. So it's true, I said. You knew. He nodded slowly. Yes, I knew everything. Tears welled in his eyes as he told me what happened. How the church feared scandal. How they pressured him to stay silent. How Sister Margaret made sure I believed I had miscarried. They said it was for the best, he said, that we were protecting you. And God's work. I laughed bitterly. Protecting you, you mean? He didn't deny it. I left the home that afternoon with my heart heavier than when I arrived. I called Claire from the train station. Confirmed it, I said. We were real. We were meant to be mother and daughter. There was a pause before she answered. Then I'm glad you found the truth. But when I got back, something was different. Claire was weaker. Her time was running out, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Claire passed away on a rainy Thursday. She held my hand until the end, her breath shallow, her voice barely a whisper. Thank you for finding me. I didn't cry at first. I just stared at her face, so peaceful, so much like mine, and traced the shape of her fingers, memorizing every line. She was gone. But she had been with me, if only for a little while. Father James came to the funeral. No one else from the church did. He stood under a black umbrella, silent, respectful. I didn't speak to him, not then. But later, as the guests left and the rain softened into mist, he approached. I've said many confessions in my life, he said, but none have weighed, heavier than the ones I never told you. I looked at him, not with anger, not with pain, but with understanding. We were both victims of silence, of fear, of choices made by others that shaped our lives. He handed me a small box. Inside was a silver crucifix and a folded piece of paper. Your daughter wanted you to have this, he said. It was a letter. Claire's final words. Mãe, obrigada por me encontrar. Mesmo tarde você foi tudo que esperei. Even now I read it every morning, and every time I feel her love.